If you're like me, you always try to fill out the perfect bracket. You always dive deep analytically. You think of everything and anything you know about college basketball, and you really try to apply that knowledge into your bracket. But there's always an upset. There's always something you're not looking at. And I think the only way for us to decide that and what actually is the perfect bracket is to put this to the test by making an odds maker and putting these teams down, and whoever comes out on top, that's our answer. That's our answer. That's simple. Let's go to work. Let's go to work. We should have an interesting go around here, but we're gonna go to an odds maker. Here we go. We're at the odds maker, the wheel of choices. And as you can see, this is how we're going to be doing things. The higher seed will always have the advantage. And if we want to go to our bracket here, this is our bracket. You see, it's kind of difficult to think of who win. Like, what's good odds for this? Are we just going to do 1 to 16 odds at all times? I don't know. Is this going to be 8 to 9 odds? I don't know. But I think the best way to do this is to always give the upper seed the advantage. And we're going to do that this way. The upper seed will always have two names in the hat, and the lower seed will always have just their name in the hat. So the upper seed has a 66.7% chance of winning every single time. However, the lower seed has only a 33% chance. So we're still going to get upsets. We just don't know what those upsets will be. And now let's go. We're going to spin the wheel, and we'll see what they end up selecting in Alabama. They advance on. Roll Tide. And we pick Alabama to win that matchup. And we're going to do that for every single game. And this is where we could struggle a little bit. West Virginia, a team as a 9 seed, could easily upset a Maryland team as an 8 seed. However, we have to let the wheel do the talking for us. And we're throwing it out there. And the wheel says that West Virginia pulls off the upset. So we are back here at the Tournament Challenge, and West Virginia is beating Maryland to come out of that first round of 64 game. All right, we are back at the wheel, and we have San Diego State and Charleston. Charleston, one of those teams that a lot of people are looking at as potential upset candidates. Charleston has the potential to go far. They have shooting, they have defense. They're able to spread out the floor. San Diego State, one of these teams that I think a lot of people are thinking might be a little bit weaker one of those teams and a little bit on upset alert. So we'll see what the wheel says. The wheel says that the winner of this anticipated showdown is San Diego State. San Diego State is not going to come up short against Charleston. San Diego State gets it done. All right, we are back at the wheel. We got Virginia and Furman queued up. Now, once again, Furman, one of those teams that I think some people are looking at and thinking maybe, just maybe, they have a little bit of an upset in them. Virginia, one of the weaker 4 seeds. Furman, a team that is very interesting and intriguing at 13. Let's see what the wheel says. The wheel says, will we see an upset? Are we going to see the upset? The wheel says that Furman is taking it home. Furman is going to upset Virginia, and Furman takes it on San Diego State in the second round. And we are back at the wheel. We got Creighton, the 6 seed, going up against an 11-seeded NC State. I think some people might be looking at this as a potential upset alert. NC State has that Terquavion Smith, who's going to be in the NBA next year. Creighton, an older team, it's a good shooting team, came into the season, one of the top favorites to go far this year. They had a down year. They were expected to be pretty good this season. They were not. But They're getting healthy at the right time. Let's see if the wheel thinks that getting healthy at the right time matters for Creighton, or if they take Terquavion Smith and NC State. NC State and Terquavion Smith are pulling off the upset in round one. Creighton's NCAA tournament hopes have died here today. We are back at the wheel. We got UC Santa Barbara in their 14th seed going up against Baylor. I think Baylor's a weaker 3 seed. I think a lot of people probably believe the same thing. Baylor has had an up and down year. Is UC Santa Barbara the one to prove that to us all? UC Santa Barbara, and they get it done. I think they got it done. UC Santa Barbara gets it done and pulls off the upset. So in this first bracket, we have Furman in an upset. UC Santa Barbara, NC State. We're going to have a lot of upsets this tournament. I don't make the rules, I just follow them. It's the wheel's decision. We're back at the wheel, and do we have another upset looming on us? Missouri, a team I think is severely underrated going into this tournament as a 7 seed. They've had a solid year. Utah State, another team that I think is pretty solid. This is going to be a fun game, but I personally would think Missouri would win this. But the wheel has not failed us, mostly because this is the first time. And the wheel says that Missouri is going to get it done. Kobe Brown might be too much for that Utah State team. And Missouri advances. Arizona and Princeton. If you're looking at a potential 2-15 upset, I've seen some people throw out Princeton as one of them. Princeton can shoot a little bit. They got a big point forward. They're interesting, but is it enough for Omar Ballo and Tubelis? I don't think so. Omar Ballo is one of the best bigs in the Pac-12. Tubelis had a 40-piece earlier this season. It's going to be a tough sell to sell me on Princeton, but will the wheel pick Princeton? The wheel says that Arizona is going to come out on top. So Arizona is going to come out on top of Princeton. Now we're going to actually go about this way. We're going to get all the way down to the Final Four. We're going to pick out the winner, and then we're going to go to the other side. But Alabama versus West Virginia is next. And here we are back at the wheel. West Virginia, Alabama. West Virginia, a team that I think could make Alabama struggle. Alabama struggled against those more physical defensive teams this season. West Virginia, one of those more physical defensive teams. West Virginia, will they get it done? And they do not get it done. They came close. I thought maybe it was going to slow down, but Alabama continuing their hot run. Alabama has to be one of the tournament favorites, and they absolutely prove why they are by knocking off West Virginia there in the round of 32 and in advancing our first team to advance to the Sweet 16. And we're back at the wheel. As you can see, San Diego State has the advantage against Furman, but does Furman have another upset brewing? Furman, they pulled off the upset round 1, and they can't get it done round 2. San Diego State's going to advance to play Alabama in the Sweet 16. San Diego State gets it done, and they go on to play Alabama. And we're back at the wheel. We got NC State and UCSB. One of these teams' hopes at the Cinderella story is going to be realized as they reach the Sweet 16. The other is going to die here in the round of 32. Both teams, double-digit seeds, an 11th seed in North Carolina State, a 14th seed at UCSB. Let's see what happens. And the winner of this matchup is going to be... Is it going to slow down? NC State gets it done. Terquavion Smith and company going on a run here in March. Terquavion Smith is advancing to the Sweet 16 after an upset against Creighton and a tough UCSB matchup. And we're back at the wheel. Arizona, one of the better teams in the country. They got 2 bigs that are going to be able to maybe make you have some fits. But Missouri, one of those teams that might be able to help out a little bit. Missouri has a solid offense. They have a solid defense. Kobe Brown's pretty good. Does Missouri get it done? Missouri, slow down! Slow down! Missouri pulls off the upset against Arizona. Arizona, we thought maybe those two bigs were too much to handle. Missouri said no, they're not. Missouri and NC State, one of those two teams is going to be in the Elite Eight and have a chance to play for that Final Four. We got a Cinderella story. We got a good Missouri team that I think is underranked. And then we got an Alabama and San Diego State team. Let's take it back to the wheel. We're back at the wheel. Alabama, San Diego State. San Diego State underranked. They're the 5 seed coming into this. Bama, they've swept it so far. Does Bama continue their run? Or does San Diego State pull up the upset? And we're close. We're going to be close. Alabama keeps their run going. And Alabama finds their way into the Elite Eight. We're at the wheel, Missouri. They got the advantage going into this one. We'll see what the wheel says. Do we have the Cinderella story of NC State continuing on another day? NC State! Is it going to stop? NC State and Terquavion Smith have made it to the Elite Eight. Alabama and NC State. Who's going to go to the Final Four? Are we going to see the Cinderella? Are we going to see it? Let's take it to the wheel. We're back at the wheel. Alabama, NC State. Winner goes to the Final Four. Let's see who it is. And the winner of this match is... Oh, NC State's tournament hopes are over. Alabama gets it done and proves exactly why they're one of the best teams in basketball. I mean, a lot of you could predict Alabama, but the wheel is going to be right. The wheel says Alabama's in the Final Four, which makes me believe Alabama is in the Final Four. All right, now let's go to the Midwest. We got the Midwest portion of things ready to go. And let's send it over to the wheel. All right, we're at the wheel. Houston, will they be as lucky as Alabama was to go all the way? Houston has the advantage against North Kentucky. North Kentucky, a team I think could be underranked. They could be on upset alert. North Kentucky! Oh, Houston wins a close one against North Kentucky. North Kentucky, I actually do think could be a team, but unfortunately they're running into potentially Marcus Sasser if he's healthy, but it doesn't matter. The bracket tells me that Marcus Sasser, regardless of whether or not he is on or off the court, the Houston team, Jarris Walker, I think the guy's name is Sheed, they're just too difficult to beat. They are too difficult to beat. They are one of the most experienced teams in the country. They got a long, lengthy freshman in Jarris Walker. They're just a tough team. We're back at the wheel. Once again, another popular one to take the loser in the rankings. Auburn's a team that I think could pull off the upset. I think a lot of people think Auburn's able to. Good defense, good offense. Will be a good matchup. The wheel knows best. What does the wheel think will be the case? The wheel says go with the top tier Iowa offense. Iowa going on to play Houston. If Iowa's offense doesn't get stagnant in that game, that could be a fun matchup there in the round of 32. We're back at the wheel. Miami and Drake. Drake's a team that I personally think has a shot. I took Drake in some of my brackets. I think Drake could be on upset alert here. But what do I know? The wheel knows best. Is Miami as fraudulent as I think they might be? The wheel says that Miami is not going to get it done against Drake. The wheel only confirms what I was thinking. I think Drake's one of those teams that could pull off this upset. That Miami team's a week 5 seed. I think Drake definitely has a shot there. All right, we're back at the wheel. Another team that I think is on upset alert, Kent State and Indiana. Indiana's had an up and down season. They've struggled to figure it out for a lot of the year. We'll see what happens here, though. Does Indiana get ready at the right time? They don't. Kent State. We're going to have another big matchup of potential Cinderella stories. Kent State goes on to play the better Drake in the rankings, so Drake will get the advantage there. but that's going to be a good matchup there. All right, we're back at the wheel. Iowa State, they got the advantage as a 6th seed going up against who I think will end up being Pittsburgh, but it could also be Mississippi State. Let's see what the wheel thinks. The wheel thinks that, is there going to be an upset? Is it the 3rd straight? I think it's going to stop on Iowa State. It looks like it's stopping Iowa State. Iowa State, their defense is tough. They've at point struggled this season, but they're a good team. They can be good at the right time. Iowa State could make a run. That defense is going to stretch you out a little bit. Iowa State gets it done, and they move on without much of a scare there from Pitt or Mississippi State. All right, we're back at the wheel. Xavier, they got the advantage. A solid Xavier team, a good coach there at Xavier, a Kennesaw State team that I think could potentially be a team to watch for on upset alert. Kennesaw State, one of those teams that's going to stretch you out a little bit. And Kennesaw State, I think it's going to slow down. You heard it here first. Coaching doesn't matter. Kennesaw State's going to get it done. This bracket has been absolutely insane. 2 14th seeds have won. Baylor lost to UCSB. Kennesaw State beat Xavier. So far, the 14th seeds are undefeated. And so far, so are the 13th seeds. So that's the way to go this year if you're looking to make predictions. All right, we are back at the wheel. Texas A&M, Penn State. Penn State, a team that's got hot lately. They're still the underdogs in this matchup. Does Penn State have one big run left in them? And I don't think they do. A&M gets it done and wins against a tough Penn State team. Insert it, A&M advancing to play the winner of Texas versus Colgate. All right, we're back at the wheel. The Texas team that's been really good this year, if they're hitting, they're one of the best teams in the country. We could see them go crazy. They got Allen coming back. They got Marcus Carr on their team. They got that freshman forward or big man. I think it's Dylan Mitchell. They got a lot of weapons to use there on Texas. Colgate, they're just a lonely toothpaste company that could potentially pull off the upset. They got some shooting. Will they shoot their way into the... Will they? Texas doesn't allow them to shoot their way in to the round of 32. Colgate will not be winning. Let's go look at the matchups here for the round of 32. Houston, Iowa, Drake, Kent State, Iowa State, Kennesaw State, Texas A&M, and Texas. Let's send it back to the wheel. We are at the wheel. Houston has an advantage coming into it against Iowa. High power offense. Really good defense. Veteran Houston team. Which one will prevail? And it looks like Iowa is going to be the ones to knock off potentially the favorites to win the entire tournament in Houston. I think Houston has a really good shot at winning it all, but the wheel says they won't. The wheel says Iowa's going to be the ones to knock them down, and Iowa's going to be playing their way into the Sweet 16. It feels good to be dancing. And we're back at the wheel. Drake and Kent State, one of these teams' tournament hopes is going to play on to go against Iowa. Which one is our Cinderella? Drake is going to get it done, it seems. Let's make sure it's official. It's official. To play that Iowa's high-powered offense. Drake, they've had a little bit of a run. I could see it happening. Drake has an easier 5-seed matchup than some people in that Miami team. And even Indiana, if they make it past Kent State, a little bit of an easier 4-seed that's had an up and down year. So Drake definitely has a path to that Sweet 16. Watch out for Drake, the Bulldogs. All right, we are back at the wheel. Iowa State, Kennesaw State. Who will win? Kennesaw State, do they have a little bit of a Cinderella run in them? Or is Iowa State going to say no? And Iowa State is the no-fun league of this tournament because they will not allow Kennesaw State to advance. It was a good start for Kennesaw State against Xavier, but Iowa State ultimately too much with that defense. That defense of Iowa State could be deadly, and I think this could obviously be a Sweet 16 team if they were to be clicking offensively. Their defense is gonna make you play a certain type of basketball. They're gonna hold you to one side of the court. They're just gonna confuse you. You're not gonna have much time for Iowa State to really just get to your pace. Iowa State's going to play at their pace. All right, we're at the wheel. We got a battle of Texas schools, A&M versus Texas. I think this could go either way. The wheel says that A&M is going to be knocking off that Texas team. The way Texas has been playing, I think it's definitely possible. Texas has been a team all year that I think has been susceptible to losses at certain points, but overall they're a really good team. But they were not able to get it done against A&M, so we got a Sweet 16 on this side of the bracket of Iowa, Drake, Iowa State, and A&M. I really like that because there's no chalk over here. There's really no chalk over here. And you know there's not going to be much chalk when it comes to March Madness. You can't just fill it out and hope that everything is going to be okay, because it won't. Something like an Iowa beating a Houston is going to happen, and I guarantee you that this bracket is going to be more accurate than anything we all predict. Do we get to do a little bit more dancing? Is Drake going to the Elite Eight? Are they going to give us all something to think about? All something to hope for? Iowa ruins their party, and Iowa's going to be dancing into the Elite Eight. High power offense from Iowa. Can't say I'm shocked. I could see it happening. Iowa's been a team, once again, talking about these up and down teams. If they're up at the right moment, they could be an Elite Eight team. We don't know. But their offense is going to get it done against Drake, who was a good story, but they weren't enough for that offense of Iowa. All right, we got A&M going up against Iowa State. Is A&M going to get it done, or is Iowa State going to continue their dancing ways? A&M has a chance! They have a chance! A&M beats Iowa State, and they're playing their way into the Elite Eight. A&M got it done. We got an 8-7 matchup between Iowa and A&M. We're back at the wheel. Iowa, A&M. A&M finally has an advantage. Will they get the victory? They have a chance here. They have a chance. A&M is playing their way into the Final Four. Wow. Wow, talk about crazy. Talk about a run. A&M getting hot at the right moments, and they're joining Alabama in the Final Four. I would never have predicted that one. That's a really good pick there. I could see A&M making a little bit of a run. I'm just worried about that Texas matchup. But the way the boards panned out, if they do beat that Texas team, I think they could make that run. A&M and Alabama, our first two Final Four teams, and that means we got to go to the southern part of the bracket, East. We go to the East. All right, we're at the wheel. Purdue versus one of these two teams. I think that's Texas Southern and Fairleigh Dickinson. Do we even have to think of which team that's going to be? Purdue! Purdue! Purdue sells. They lose round one to a 16 seed. The second 16 seed ever to win. Purdue, what happened? What happened, Purdue? Purdue loses. Our first 16th seed to go down. And the second one in history to go down. Wow. Wow. Purdue. We're back at the wheel. Memphis, FAU. FAU, I think, is a little bit underranked, a little bit disrespected. Do they feel the same way? 31-3. FAU is going to be the ones to get it done. FAU going on to advance, and they're going to be playing that 16th seed. FAU gets it done. They're going on to that 16th seed against one of Texas Southern or Fairleigh Dickinson. We're back at the wheel. Oral Roberts, a popular team. One of those Cinderella stories of the past. Will they do it again? They got a 7.5 center that's shooting the three ball well. Duke is able to hold them off, and Duke is going to get it done, and they'll be going on to 32. Duke advances against Oral Roberts, and they'll be going on to winner of Tennessee versus Louisiana, which is going to be, we are at the wheel, Tennessee versus Louisiana. Louisiana, one of those teams that could be seeing upset. No Zakai Ziegler for Tennessee, and that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Tennessee's still able to get it done. Duke is going to play Tennessee there in the round of 32. That'll be a good matchup. And we get Bryce Hopkins going up against his former Kentucky team. We're here, Providence, Kentucky, 11th seed, 6th seed. Bryce Hopkins, does he go on a little bit of a revenge tour? Bryce Hopkins, he gets it done. He knocks off his former team. He said, I am back. Bryce Hopkins gets it done, and he's going to be playing his way into the round of 32. We got another 11th seed. How many 11 seeds do we have winning? This is our second 11th seed winning. Kansas State, Montana State, here we go. Montana State, a team that could be interesting. Could be interesting, but are they interesting? Kansas State says absolutely not. They said, get away. Don't even try that upset stuff with us. Kansas State wins that one. Kansas State gets it done, and they say they are going on to Providence. Michigan State and the Fighting Tom Izzos going up against USC and Boogie Ellis. We are here at the wheel. USC, Michigan State. Who gets it done? Who goes home early? Michigan State and the Fighting Tom Izzos get it done. The Fighting Tom Izzos advance to the round of 32, and they go on to face the winner of Marquette, Vermont, which is going to be. We got Marquette, Vermont here. Vermont, a team that's bitten us in the past for predicting them. Is this their year? And Marquette is not playing any games. They said they will stay in the tournament for now. Marquette gets it done. Our only real upsets here is that Texas Southern Fairleigh Dickinson team upset that Purdue. Wow, that's crazy to me still. Providence, I could see it happening. A lot of this I could see it happening, but that Texas Southern team, that is really our potential here at a Cinderella story in the East. We got Florida Atlantic, this Texas Southern team. This Florida Atlantic got what it takes to knock them down. The Cinderella story. Is it going to keep going? It doesn't. Florida Atlantic said they will be the Cinderellas of this. Florida Atlantic feels a little bit disrespected. You look at Florida Atlantic's record here. 31-3. Kind of disrespectful that they're a 9 seed. They're going on a little bit of a run. And they'll go on to the winner of Duke and Tennessee. Here we go. Tennessee, believe it or not, is a higher rank than Duke. And does Tennessee or Duke pull this one out? Tennessee gets it done. No Zakai Ziegler, and it doesn't matter. Tennessee going on to play FAU there to go on to the Elite Eight. Sweet 16 matchup between FAU and Tennessee. Are the Bryce Hopkins Providence-led team going to be able to beat Kansas State? Providence has a shot. Providence and Bryce Hopkins making a little bit of a run. They reached the Sweet 16. Marquette, the 2 seed, going up against the 7 seed Michigan State. Who gets it done? Marquette, a team that I think could win it all, and they continue to prove me right. Marquette beats Michigan State there in the round 32, and they're going to dancing in the Sweet 16. Here we go, the Sweet 16 matchup, FAU, Tennessee, Providence, Marquette. I like that there's no chalk here because it's very rare that we get chalk, and this one gave us a 1 seed, so it made me a little bit nervous with my methods, but I think we're on to something. Tennessee, Florida Atlantic, whose dreams remain and who will be playing their way into the Elite Eight. FAU, their dreams remain. Florida Atlantic, they're going on the run. They're going on a little bit of a run. Feels disrespected. Let's look at FAU's. They were underdogs here. They were favorites there. They've won twice as underdogs. If this Providence team is the upset Marquette, Florida Atlantic could find themselves playing Alabama to go to the national championship. Who wins this game is huge to see whether or not this FAU dream scenario. They might be a 3-loss team, but we'll see what happens. Is this where the run of Bryce Hopkins finally ends? A well-oiled machine in Marquette, or Bryce Hopkins and Marquette gonna get it done, and they are going on to the Elite Eight to play Florida Atlantic. I think this is probably where Florida Atlantic's time comes to an end in this tournament. This might be where FAU's run comes to an end, and if it is, it's been a good run, FAU. But I'm a believer in the Cinderellas, and there is not a Cinderella story to be told much longer for FAU. Marquette gets it done. It's a commendable effort by Florida Atlantic. They did bust some brackets. They got all the way up to the Elite Eight. But the Final Four, we will be seeing Bama and Marquette before we go to the West to find out who plays A&M in the Final Four. All right, will we see our next 16-1 upset? Will there be 2 in 1 year? Will this be the third one all time? Kansas, don't sell out now, Kansas. Kansas says they aren't selling out. Kansas not being like Purdue. Kansas gets it done. They don't allow the same fate to happen to Purdue to happen to them. And they will be going on to play the winner of Arkansas, Illinois. Arkansas, Illinois, here we go. Illinois, an up and down team. Arkansas team without Brazile. They might be a little bit better than what they are, but a young-led freshman team. And Arkansas said, we don't care if we got freshmen. We still can get it done. And Arkansas, they find their way into a matchup against Kansas. Arkansas, we moving them on. Kansas, Arkansas, that's going to be a fun matchup. When we get to St. Mary's, VCU, let's see. We got St. Mary's, we got VCU. Let's see who wins this one. Another one I think could be an upset. VCU is a team that's going to give St. Mary's a little bit of problems, but St. Mary's are going to be able to hold off those problems. St. Mary's gets it done. St. Mary's, so far, we got some chalk. We got Pitino trying to make his way back. UConn, a team that could be up or down at any point. And Pitino gets it done and it upsets UConn. Pitino, he said, let me go on a run. Pitino said, you know what? We're not going to be the only ones going on a run. If Texas Southern or Fairleigh Dickinson can beat Purdue, we're going to be UConn. Pitino says, you know what? Let's dance. We got TCU going in as favorites against either Arizona State or Nevada. I think it's probably Arizona State, but as Arizona State have a run in them, and I think TCU got it covered. TCU, they're not playing with fire today. TCU gets it done, and they advance to play the winner of Gonzaga and Grand Canyon. Gonzaga, Grand Canyon University. Who wins this one? Grand Canyon, a team that I think pulled probably one of the worst matchups possible for themselves. And Gonzaga, Drew Timme and company, get it done. Not much you could do if you're Grand Canyon there. Gonzaga, continuing this somewhat of a chalky side of the bracket, we saw a lot of big things. FAU made it all the way. Providence, Providence, Texas Southern. This is very chalky, but Iona, one of those teams that were able to pull off the upset. Northwestern and Boise State. Let's see what we got. All right, we're at the bracket. Northwestern, Boise State. Let's see what we get. Boise State, coming from a conference that doesn't win in the tournament too often, and that's going to remain the case. Northwestern able to get it done. Northwestern, Boo Buie, Chase Audige, all of them coming in at the right time, playing when it matters most. Northwestern advances against Boise State and goes on to the winner of UCLA and UNC Asheville. Okay, you might be looking at me, UCLA's guaranteed this one. No, if you guys are watching, UNC Asheville's legit. They're legit, and they don't win, but they play close against UCLA. It doesn't happen, but UNC Asheville is our best bet for an upset if it's a 2-15 upset. I'm telling y'all now. All right, we got Kansas and Arkansas, 1-8 seed. Does the chalk remain happening in this side of the bracket? Kansas the favorites. Does Arkansas pull off an upset? Kansas says, how about no? We're going to the Sweet 16. Grady, Dick, Jalen Wilson, they don't care. They're finding their way all the way into the Sweet 16. All right, St. Mary's and Iona, here we go. Who comes out on top? That's what I want to know. Who is the victor in this matchup? Pitino? No, St. Mary's ends Pitino's dance before he even gets to dancing. Valiant effort from Iona, but St. Mary's ultimately too much to handle. And this is looking very similar to that 1-5 Alabama-San Diego State matchup. Are we going to see Kansas going on the same rampage that we saw Bama go through? I don't know. We got some tough teams down here. Let's see what the wheel thinks. We get Gonzaga, TCU. I think it's a weaker Gonzaga team at a 3 seed. TCU is somewhat of an easier matchup for them, though. Gonzaga says, you know what, we're going to get it done anyways. TCU or not, they're getting it done, and they're moving on to dance a little bit longer. Gonzaga moving themselves into the Sweet 16 to play the winner of Northwestern and UCLA. All right, we're here, UCLA, Northwestern. Who gets it done? Northwestern got another big game in them. Northwestern might win this one. They might win it. Northwestern, the team to knock off UCLA. They got a little bit inspired from that A&M 7th seed run. They go on to play Gonzaga, Kansas, and St. Mary's. The first time as underdogs for St. Mary. They had that Iona matchup in the second round. They got lucky. Kansas, can they hold off an underdog St. Mary's team? Kansas is chalking themselves right into the Elite Eight. You got to go put Kansas in there. Kansas looking very chalky, but that could also very well just be because Kansas is really just that good. Gonzaga, Northwestern, who gets it done? Does the underdog prevail and go on to play Kansas, or does Gonzaga get it done? And Northwestern does it again! Northwestern playing for something bigger than themselves. Boo, Bowie, Chase Dodge, it doesn't matter. Northwestern's getting it done against Gonzaga. Northwestern is in the Elite Eight, and they join Iowa as another team in the Elite Eight. Wow, Northwestern going on to Kansas. What happens? Here we go, Northwestern, Kansas. Who wins it? Does Northwestern continue their dance and play the other 7th seed in A&M? Or does their tournament dreams end here? Northwestern has a shot! They have a shot! Northwestern makes it out! Kansas! Northwestern! Boo Booey! Too much! Northwestern gets it done! And they join A&M in the Final Four! So our Final Four consists of Bama, Marquette, A&M, Northwestern. I don't even know what to do here! I guess we just have to pick the winner of Bama, Marquette currently. And then we're going to think of something to do for A&M Northwestern. This could potentially be one of the best matchups in all of basketball. A hot Alabama team that ran through this tournament. A Marquette team that grinded their way through this tournament playing the best basketball they've been playing all year. Who comes out on top? Alabama favored. Keep in mind, they're favored. And they find their way into the national championship. Alabama continues their role as they're rolling their tides all the way up into the national championship. Alabama gets it done, and they find themselves in the Final Four. A&M Northwestern, I don't even know what to do. I think we just go to the wheel. Both teams, 50-50. A 50-50 shot. A&M Northwestern. And the winner goes on to play Alabama. All right, here we go. A&M Northwestern, A&M Northwestern, A&M Northwestern, blah, 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 all the way down. Not rigged whatsoever, just so we're clear. But there's 20 on here. I didn't want to just do 2. I want to have anticipation. I want to think, because 50-50, we never know. It could just be obvious whoever is coming up. But it's smaller, so we don't know. The winner of this matchup in the Final Four is going to be A&M! A&M! They're going on. They end Northwestern Cinderella. A&M Cinderella stays alive. I'm calling it a Cinderella. It might not be classified as one, but A&M is a Cinderella story if I've ever seen one. They had a tough path to get here. They beat a tough Penn State team. They beat a tough Texas team. They beat a tough Iowa State team. They beat a tough Iowa team. They moved on to this matchup of a Northwestern team who took out Boise State, who took out UCLA, who took out Gonzaga. Look at this run. This is the only game they were favored. 1 upset, 2 upset, 3 upset. Northwestern couldn't get it done. Texas A&M, 1 upset, 2 upset. Not an upset. This is absolutely absurd. And the winner is going to be, let's send it to the wheel for the last time. We're back at the regular odds. Bama, the favorite, as they are the 1 seed. A&M, they're the 7 seed, so we're back at the regular odds. This is for all the marbles. This is for our national champion. And this is for the winner of the perfect bracket. We've waited all these years for the perfect bracket, and there's been 0 perfect brackets. But this year, the perfect bracket is made by a wheel. And this wheel is telling us that the national champion for the 2023 March Madness is going to be... Let's see who it is. Let's see who it is. Is it A&M? Is it A&M? Keep going! Keep going! Alabama chalks it up, but the perfect bracket has been achieved. I thought maybe A&M was going to pull it off one last time. But Alabama is going to be the victors here. They get all the way to the national championship. They chalk it up a little. Boom, 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 boom. Favored all the way through. Not once were they favored, and they failed. Now let's look at some of these tournament highlights. Let's look at the highlights of this tournament. The upsets. The big ones. The ones that people actually aren't probably going to get. We started off in the South. The South, it was going well. It was going pretty well until Furman came in with the upset. And they moved on to the round of 32. NC State, they said, let us get in the upset game. And they beat a Creighton team that I thought could get hot. UC Santa Barbara, they said, let us take down that weak Baylor 3 seed. And that was just the start in the South because Alabama, West Virginia played a close one. Alabama came out on top. San Diego State ended Furman. But we had a little bit of a Cinderella coming on because NC State, Santa Barbara were playing for the Sweet 16. And NC State and Traquavion Smith came out on top. Then we saw our first huge upset of the tournament. You could predict some of this other stuff, but I didn't think Missouri would beat Arizona. Kobe Brown, too much for Tubelis and Oumar Ballo. And he found his way to the Sweet 16. We got Bama and San Diego. Bama did not let San Diego play the same game, same style they did against Furman and Charleston. And Alabama ended their run at the Sweet 16. And NC State and Missouri, they played a close one, but Terquavion Smith came out on top of Kobe Brown. Unfortunate there for Missouri, but NC State found their way into the Elite Eight, where they finally dropped to Brandon Miller and his Alabama-led team. Then we went to the Midwest. Houston, they gave a close one against Northern Kentucky, a team that we thought could give them a close one, but Houston able to pull it away. Iowa, they were able to weather the storm and beat that defensive Auburn. Then we saw our first big upset in this side of the bracket. Drake was able to upset Miami, a weaker Miami team, a Drake team that I think could get hot. Then they went on to play the winner of Indiana-Kent State, who Indiana could make a run if they were playing good basketball, but Indiana's had an up-and-down season. Kent State able to take advantage, and Kent State able to make it a 12-13 seed matchup there going on. Iowa State, Mississippi State, or Pittsburgh. I don't think it's Pittsburgh, but Iowa State either way is able to weather the storm. That defense a little bit too much to handle for either team. Xavier, Kennesaw State, another big upset in this side of the bracket. Xavier, we thought could be a team to make a little bit of a run, well-coached team, but it doesn't matter. Kennesaw State able to pull off the upset, able to stretch them out just a little bit more than they're used to, and Xavier able to lose there to Kennesaw State. Texas A&M and Penn State, this is where we got to see a big run here. Penn State, we thought could be a team to upset Texas A&M, but Texas A&M is able to weather the storm. They beat Penn State. Texas and Colgate. Texas, unfortunately, beat Colgate. The toothpaste brand ended their run before it ever got started. Then in the round of 32, we saw Houston and Iowa. We saw a big upset. We thought this Houston team was going to go far. Iowa did not agree. Iowa said, you know what, it's our time to dance. It's our time to be a high-power offense. And they went on to play the winner of Drake and Kent State. Drake and Kent State, hard-fought matchup, 12-13 seed. Drake able to come out on top. Then we had this matchup between Iowa State and Kennesaw State. And this matchup was a defensive-led matchup. Iowa State able to get it done. A&M, Texas, hard-fought battle, close one. A&M able to pull it out at the end. Then we got to Iowa versus Drake. The Cinderella story of Drake was not ever going to be one that went on to the Elite Eight, unfortunately. Iowa playing for something. Iowa State had an opportunity to join Iowa, but they lost to A&M as the favorites. A&M found their way in to the Elite Eight, where they played Iowa, and they were able to weather the storm and beat Iowa, and they found themselves into the Final Four. And then we had one of the greatest games in NCAA history in March Madness. We've seen only one time in history where a 16 seed beat a 1 seed, but this year we saw Texas Southern or Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue. And Purdue goes home before their dance ever gets going. Zach Edey, not enough for Texas Southern or Fairleigh Dickinson. Memphis and FAU, a hard-fought match, a match that I think is going to be tough. But Florida Atlantic, at the end of the day, 31-3, they find their way to the round of 32. Duke and Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts does have that big man that can shoot a little bit, 7'5". Duke, though, they got two big men, a little bit too much for Oral Roberts to handle. Tennessee and Louisiana. Team could be on upset alert without Zakai Ziegler. Tennessee going up against a gritty Louisiana team, but Tennessee ultimately able to get it done. Kentucky, they played against Providence. Bryce Hopkins' revenge tour began, and he went on a little bit of a tournament run, but they won in the round one. Providence did. Kansas State, Montana State. Kansas State went in, they wiped the floor, they got their business done, and they left. Michigan State, coaching matters. Tom Izzo able to beat Boogie Ellis and Southern California. Marquette and Vermont, a team that maybe some people might take, but Marquette, one of the best teams in the country right now, able to get it done. Then this 16th seeds, dreams, hopes, everything got ruined because FAU ain't playing no games. FAU's legit, and they found themselves into the Sweet 16. Then we get a good matchup here. No Zakai Ziegler for Tennessee, two huge big men, and Filipowski and Derek Lively for Duke. But Tennessee able to weather the storm. Josiah Jordan-James, Vescovi, all those guys for Tennessee able to get it done. And they find themselves against FAU in the Sweet 16. Bryce Hopkins able to knock off Kansas State and Powell, or Noel, whichever one it is. The little small guard out of Kansas State. Do I have his name listed? Marquise Noel, whatever. That little guard. Bryce Hopkins able to get it done. Michigan State, Marquette, like I said, well-oiled machine. They're able to get it done, and they advance. And then we get to the Sweet 16. FAU pulls off an upset here against Tennessee. Finally, the Zakai Ziegler thing gets to them, and FAU able to overcome Tennessee there in the Sweet 16. Providence, Marquette. Providence, they had a good run. Bryce Hopkins and company could not get past Marquette, however. And then this FAU Marquette game in the Elite Eight, I wanted FAU to win, but Marquette ultimately proves to be the well-oiled machine, and they get themselves into the Final Four against Alabama. Then we get to the West. The West got a little bit interesting. Kansas and Howard, we got some chalk. Kansas. Arkansas, Illinois, we got some chalk. Hard-fought game, but Arkansas. We got some more chalk. St. Mary's VCU, St. Mary's. However, we saw an upset here from Pitino trying to get back in to the Big East. And UConn loses to Iona. TCU going up against the winner of Arizona State and Nevada. But TCU doesn't care because they're chalking it up all the way to the second round. Gonzaga, they found themselves against Grand Canyon. Close game, closer than it should have been. Gonzaga escapes. Northwestern, they're able to beat this Boise State team pretty handedly, and they find themselves into the next round. And then a hard-fought UCLA-UNC Asheville game leads UCLA to the second round. This Kansas team, Arkansas game, it's a really good game, but ultimately Kansas, Jalen Wilson, Grady Dick, all those guys come out on top. St. Mary's, Iona, Rick Pitino, they might have had a good story, But their story ends here. They did not get to the Sweet 16, and they're not dancing any longer. And then we get to this matchup between TCU and Gonzaga. Gonzaga able to beat TCU. They weathered the storm and were able to beat TCU. Two weaker teams in this bracket. UCLA, Northwestern, we saw a first major upset of the second round. Northwestern able to shock everybody by taking out UCLA. Boo Buie and Chase Audige a little bit too much for UCLA to handle. They were able to stop Jaime Jaquez. Tiger Campbell was eliminated from the game, and they found themselves into the Sweet 16, where they knocked out Gonzaga. Drew Timme, like I said, a little bit too much to handle for Chase Audige and Boo Buie. They did their work, and Drew Timme and company could not get it done. Northwestern found themselves playing the winner of Kansas St. Mary's. And Kansas and St. Mary's, they had a hard-fought game, tried to slow the pace down there for St. Mary's, but Kansas ultimately prevailed. And Kansas, they made it to the Elite Eight, but they lose. They lose. They were this close to making it back to the national championship. But Boo Buie and Chase Audige don't let it happen. And they find themselves playing A&M in the Final Four. And like I said, this Alabama team, Brandon Miller and company, too much for Marquette. Well-oiled machine in Marquette, but no, Alabama got it done. A&M Northwestern, one of the best matchups of the entire tournament. A&M comes out on top, but they lose in the national championship to Alabama. And we'll pick random scores here. 63-58. Alabama gets it done. But that's our bracket, folks. And thank you guys for watching. And this wheel right here, the Wheel of Names, picked the winner of the 2023 March Madness. So like I said, you've all wondered how to get the perfect bracket. What I did today, is the perfect bracket.